College football season is right around the corner, and DK Nation college football editor Collin Sherwin is here to shed some light on the Big Ten and what we can expect this season. Collin, we're chasing or fading some bold statements, so let's get into it. Let's start with the top team from last year, the Ohio State Buckeyes, maybe the only Big Ten team with a shot at the national championship this season. So the DK Sportsbook has them as plus 550 to win the title. Chase or fade, Ohio State is a real title contender this season.
I'm going to fade real title contender. I think the Big Ten is going to be way, way down this year. The other problem is that the signature team in Ohio State, they're the best team in the Big Ten, but they're not anywhere close to what I think will be the top 5 of college football this year. And they only returned 50% of their talent from last year's team. So you're losing all of that talent at the skill positions, Justin Field, all of these guys that could really play at a high level. They just don't bring enough players back. The other problem is they're not going to really get tested in the Big Ten this season. There's just nobody out there that's any good. The Big Ten and the Pac-12 are really down leagues this year. There might be some teams that come through in sort of the middle of the pack, but I don't see anybody that can really compete. It even may be the top 7 or 8 of college football.
Okay, well, odds are up for the West Division of the Big Ten. Wisconsin is the favorite to win it at minus 110. So chase or fade, the Badgers are the team to beat in the Big Ten West.
I really like Wisconsin to win the Big Ten West this season. I think at minus 110, they are by far and away the best team. Struggled a little bit last year, have a new athletic director sort of trying to build in a new culture, but they bring a lot back from last season. And who's close? Iowa? Really? Like, we're going to give Iowa a chance here? Come on. I don't think so. I really like where they're at. I think Wisconsin, 83% of their players are coming back. That's 35th overall in the country. They bring a 10 back on offense. I really like to see, and plus teams that can run the ball in the Big Ten, that translates week to week. They might lose once, but in division, they're going to lose crossovers, but I don't think they lose twice in the division. And that's kind of what you have to do to not win it. So I really like Wisconsin to take that one down this year.
All right, let's talk about a team with a few more question marks surrounding them. Penn State. They got off to the worst start in program history last season. They lost their first 5 games, but then they won their final 4. So the DK Sportsbook has set their win total at 8.5 games for the upcoming season. Chase or fade that they go over this total?
I think they go over, and I think James Franklin is going to be really motivated this year because I think this might be his last year in Happy Valley. We might see him replacing Clay Helton at USC. Just throwing that out there now. Let's get that done early. But I think Penn State should look more like the team they were in the second half of the season last year than the first half of the season. They returned plenty of talent as well. They're out of conference games. Ball State, Auburn, Villanova. Auburn's going to be a little bit down this year. Go Wildcats. This isn't a basketball game, so I think they'll be fine there. And Ball State, come on. So I like Penn State. They return enough talent where they should be good. And their overall talent rating is actually 3rd in the Big Ten. I don't think James Franklin necessarily gets enough credit for the talent that he brings in and recruits year after year. So, I'm in on Penn State this year. If it was 9.5, I'd probably go under, but I think 8.5 is a totally fine number and they can get there.
All right, well, Indiana was one of the bigger surprises in college football last season. I mean, they went 6-1 in the conference, ended up within the top 25 at season's end. Impressive. So the DK Sportsbook has their win total set right at 8. Chase or fade that they go over?
So I covered Tom Allen for one season when he was a defensive coordinator here in Tampa at South Florida. I have never seen a coach that gets more buy-in and more love from his players. All of that LEO stuff, it's real. It translates. You talk to guys that haven't played for him in years and years, and they still rave about what a great guy he is. He's built a culture there. That was one of the worst 5 jobs in the Power 5, and he's made it something that just can overcome the odds at all times. Michael Penix comes back, and you know why he got to recruit Michael Penix, another kid from right over here in Tampa? Because a lot of people didn't want a left-handed quarterback. This is the kind of things we're dealing with in college football, and these are the things that Tom Allen doesn't care about. So, yeah, I love Indiana. Out-of-conference games, Iowa, Idaho, Cincinnati, Western Kentucky. Give them all. They got them all. Cincinnati should actually be pretty good this year. I think Indiana gets it done. Give me Tom Allen. Give me this IU team. I really think they're going to be maybe not in the mix to try and win a Big Ten championship. The talent gap is just so big with Ohio State. You know, you're putting up 3.5 stars against 5 stars. It's really tough to do. But if anyone can make it, it's this team. And it'll be all of that feel-good story like they had last season.
All right, let's take a look at one of the most disappointing teams of 2020, the Michigan Wolverines. Jim Harbaugh's team looking to right the ship with a revamped staff. Their win total is 7.5 on the DK Sportsbook. Chase or fade that they make it to 8?
So I think they get there. They did lose some talent in the offseason. They're only bringing back 2/3 of their players from last year, which is 104th in the country. But I think they've got enough to get over the top. Jim Harbaugh is going to struggle to recruit in this modern era. This is it's a different way of bringing players in. We need coaches that embrace NIL. We'll get to that potentially at another point because I think Northwestern's kind of in the same boat. When you don't embrace the new culture of college football, players are going to leave and players aren't going to want to play for you. And I think that's kind of where Harbaugh is at here. But their schedule's not too tough this year. The Oregon game will be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be two of the teams that have like these high expectations from their fan base, but maybe don't necessarily have the horses to translate to what they think they might be. But I think Michigan gets there. I think they get to 8, but I wouldn't get them to 9.
All right, finally, any crazy bold predictions for the Big Ten's upcoming season?
Yeah, I got a big one. Northwestern, they're going 0-9 in the Big Ten this year. They're not going to win a game. And they went to a bowl game last year. They're returning, according to my calculations, 34% of their players from last season. 34% of their production from last season comes back. I don't see anyone on this team who can play. I don't see how they can possibly move forward. I think they get behind the 8 ball early, and I think they're going to be in big trouble. You know, you start with Michigan State. You're going to beat Indiana State, hopefully. But like even teams like Duke and Ohio that they're taking out of conference, those are going to be struggles. That Rutgers game, the battle for the bottom of the Big Ten, I think Rutgers is just on paper a severely better football team. So yeah, I think Northwestern goes winless this year in the Big 12 or in the Big Ten, excuse me.